Hello. Now we want to talk about application of logarithms in evaluating numerical cases. So we can use logarithm to evaluate numerical sums. Like here you have 367 multiplied by 4.293. Now, when you are presented with such a question or such a sum, and you're supposed to use logarithms to evaluate it, we need to understand that for this particular question, at no instance should you use a calculator. At no instance should you use a calculator. We only need to use mathematical tables. But from what is presented here, we can just punch this one in the calculator and you find that the answer is 1575.531. It means that even if you use a mathematical table, that is logarithms, your answer should be close to 1575.531. Now we are going to see how we are going to evaluate this one. So in the first instance, we have a number. So presented with the number, we are going to write the number here, that is 367. Then we are going to write the standard form of this number 367. So if the decimal point moves back 2 steps, because the number must be between 1, that number must be between 1 and 10. So to make 367 be between 1 and 10, this one becomes 3.67 multiplied by 10 raised to 2. That is the standard form. Now, we write the power 2 point. Then we look for the logarithm of 3.67 from the mathematical table. Now, from the mathematical table, the logarithm of 3.6 in the column of 7 becomes 5647. It is written 5647. So the logarithm of this number is 2.5647. Now, we are presented with the second number, which is 4.293. Now, 4.293 is within the standard form range, so the decimal point is not going to move anywhere. So this one becomes 4.293, then multiplied by 10 raised to the power of 0, because the decimal point did not move. So the logarithm is 0. We look for the logarithm of 4.2 in the column of 9. 4.2 in the column of 9. Now 4.2 in the column of 9, then add what is in the addition column of 3. You find it is 63.28. Now, since it is multiplication, it means that this logarithm we are going to add. Now, when you add this one, 7 plus 8 gives us 15. So you write 5, carry 1. Carry 1, you add it here, it becomes 5 plus 2. This one becomes 7. Now, 6 plus 3 becomes 9. Then 5 plus 6 is 11. Write 1, carry 1. When you carry 1, this one becomes 3. 3 plus 0 is just 3. So it is 3.1975. Now, we need to move towards our left-hand side. Here, we are going to write times 10 raised to our characteristic. Our characteristic is 3. Times 10 raised to a characteristic, which is 3. Now, then we look for the antilog of 19 in the column of 7. Antilog of 19 in the column of 7. Now the antilog of 19 in the column of 7, then add what is in the column of 5, is going to give us 1.576. 1.576. So 1.576 multiplied by 10 raised to the power of 3, that means the decimal point moves ahead 3 steps and you end up with the number as 1576. So it means that the answer to this particular question becomes 1576. Remember I said the logarithm is very close to, the answer you get is very close to the answer you could have gotten using a calculator. But in this case, it is purely a calculator that we are using. Mathematical table that we are using. And the answer is 1576. Now we go ahead and look at a second scenario. Now in the second scenario, we are supposed to evaluate 7201 divided by 0.432. Now in this case, our main number is 7201. Now 7201, this one is outside our standard form bracket, so you move the decimal point 3 steps backward. So this one translates to 7.201 multiplied by 10 raised to 3. So our log is 3 point, that is the power, 3 point. Then we read the logarithm of 7.2 in the column of 0, then add what is in the column of 1. If you do this, you get that the answer is 8574. So it means that the logarithm of this number is 3.8574. Our next number is 0.432. It is outside our standard form range. So move the decimal point ahead 1 step and you end up with 4.32, then times 10 raised to -1. So it means that our logarithm will have bar 1, that is the -1, bar 1, point. Read the logarithm of 4.3 in the column of 2. It is going to give us 6355. Now, because we are dividing, this means you are going to subtract these 2 logs. We are going to subtract the 2 logs. Now, when you subtract, if you borrow 1 from here, you remain with 6. Put here becomes 14. Now, 14 subtract 4, that is, 14 subtract 5, you end up with 9, 14 subtract 5, you end up with 9. Then 6 subtract 5, end up with 1. 5 subtract 3, it is 2. 8 subtract 6, it is also 2. Decimal point 3 minus 1, that becomes 3 plus 1, which becomes 4. Now we go ahead, write our power form 10 raised to the power of the characteristic, which is 4. That is 10 raised to the power of characteristic, which is 4. Then you look for the antilog of 22 in the column of 1, then add what is in the column of 9. And this one gives us 1.667. It gives us 1.667. Now, 1.667 raised times 10 raised to 4, this one translates to 16,670. 16,670. So the answer to this particular question is 16,670. So you have used mathematical table to evaluate this particular sum. Now we go ahead and also try to evaluate this third sum that you have here. Now it says that there is 319 multiplied by 398, all of it divided by 2714. So how do we approach this one? Now we are going to start with the numerator first. It has a multiplication. So the number on the numerator is 319. Now 319, right, in standard form, you get it is 3.19 times 10 raised to 2. So the logarithm in this particular case, it is 2 point. Then look for the logarithm of 3.19 from the tables, and you find it is 5038. It is 5038. The second number is 398. So 398 in this particular scenario, standard form is 3.98 multiplied by 10 raised to the power of 2. So the logarithm is 2 point. Look for the logarithm of 3.98 from the mathematical tables, which gives us 5999 from the mathematical table. Now the numerator is being multiplied, so we are going to add these two. So when you add these two, 8 plus 9 gives us 17, 7, you carry 1, 4, 4 plus 9 gives us 13, 3, carry 1, you put here, it is 1, 1 plus 9, 10, 10, put 0, carry 1, this one is 10 plus 1 gives us 1, 11, 11 decimal point, carry 1. Carry 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 2 is 5. Then, next, we have the denominator. The denominator that we have here is 2714. 2714, which is 2.714 times 10 raised to 3. So what we have here is 3 point, that is the power. Look for the logarithm of 2.7 in the column of 1, then add what is in the column of 4, and in this scenario you get it is 4336. Now because the numerator is being divided by the denominator, you are going to subtract these two numbers. So 7 minus 6 gives us 1. 3 minus 3 gives us 0 in this particular case. Then 0 minus 3, so you borrow from here. So you remain with the 0 if you borrow. If you put it, it becomes 10. 10 minus 3 gives us 7. Remember, you remain with the 0 in this particular place. So you borrow 1 from here, you remain with the 4. You put where you had 0, it becomes 10. Now 10 minus 4 gives us 6 decimal point. You remain with the 4. So 4 minus 3 gives us 1. So what you have is times 10 raised to 1 times 10 raised to our characteristic 1. Then you look for the antilog of 67 in the column of 0, then add what is in the column of 1. In this particular case, it becomes 4.678. So 4.678 multiplied by 10 raised to 1, decimal point moves ahead one step, and it becomes 46.78. So basically the answer to this particular question is 46.78. So you can see we can use logarithms to evaluate numerical cases in multiplication and division. Now, how do we apply logarithms to evaluate numbers under roots? How do we use logarithms to evaluate numbers under roots? For example, you have to use logarithm to evaluate a number under root like 3, 2, 9. This one is under a square root. So for us to understand how to evaluate such numbers, first of all, we need to understand how to divide logarithms by certain orders, because square root is order 2, we have cube root, it is order 3, we have fourth root, it is order 4. So we need to learn how to divide logarithms by orders. Now, if there is a logarithm like this one, this is on the positive side, we just have to look at the characteristic. If the characteristic in this particular case is positive, if the characteristic is a positive number, then we can divide comfortably with any other number. In this particular scenario, you can take 0.4623 and you divide with the 3, or you multiply by a third comfortably. There is no modifications that you have to do. So you find that 3 goes here 1, 3 goes into 0, 0, point into 4 it is 1, carry 1 into 16 it is 5 because of 15, carry 1 into 12 it is 4, then into 3 it is 1. So this one, the answer becomes 0.1541. So the characteristic was positive, so division becomes very easy. Other example, if you have a number like 1.8626, you divide it by 2. Now, if you look at the characteristic, it is positive. So if it is positive, the division takes place directly. 1.8626 divided by 2. So in this particular scenario, 2 here is 1. 2 into 1 it is 0. Carry 1 to the next decimal place, it becomes 18. 2 into 18, 9 times, so it is 0.9. Then 2 into 6, it goes there 3 times. 2 into 2, it is 1. Then 2 into 6, it is 3 times. So the number becomes 0.9313. Now, what of a scenario whereby the characteristic is negative? It has a bar on top. What of a scenario where the characteristic is negative? That means it has a bar on top. The mantissa is taken to be a number on its own, the decimal point part. So what happens is that you have to make the characteristic divisible by 2. So numbers that are multiples of 2, first number is 2, plus or minus, so it can be negative 2, it can be negative 4. So we use the least one. So we ask ourselves, what can be added to negative 2 to get negative 1? What can be added to negative 2 to get negative 1? So it means that this characteristic can be written in terms of negative 2 or bar 2 plus 1. Bar 2 plus 1 will give us bar 1. Then 1.4612. then this one now we can divide with 2. The characteristic is not divisible by 2. So we have to make it divisible by 2, that is, by adding a certain number to its multiple. So its multiple is bar 2. So bar 2 is divisible by 2. So if it is divisible by 2, then what can you add to it so that you get bar 1? And you find that you can only add there 1. So at this particular stage, you can now divide comfortably. 2 here is 1. 2 into bar 2, it is bar 1. 2 into bar 2, it is bar 1. Now, 2 into 1, it is 0. Point, carry 1 to the next. Into 14, it is 7. Into 6, it is 3. Into 1, it is 0. But now into 12, it gives us 6. Then at this particular place, what you do, make sure you add the characteristic alone, not the mantissa, the characteristic alone. So bar 1 plus 0, this one gives us bar 1. Bar 1 plus 0 gives us bar 1. Point, now put the mantissa, which is 7306. 7306. Now let us look at another scenario whereby the characteristic is a negative. The characteristic is a negative, but the negative is divisible by the number that is dividing it. So the negative in this particular place, that is the characteristic, is divisible by 3. So there is no modifications we can do to it like we did here. Here bar 1 was not divisible by 2. That's why you had to do modifications. But here, the characteristic is divisible by 3, so there is no modifications we do to it. We divide directly by 3.6948 divided by 3. So 3 here is 1, 3 here is bar 1. Point, 3 into 6, it is 2. 3 into 9, it is 3. 3 into 4, it is 1. Carry 1 into 18, it is 6. So the answer becomes bar 1.2316. That is the answer to this particular question. Now, I'd like us to move ahead and see how does evaluation of roots help us in simplifying or evaluating numbers using logarithms. For example, you've been told evaluate the square root of 378. Now 378, this one can be written as 378 raised to a half. Raised to a half. So in this particular case, the number that we have is 378. So 378 in standard form can be written as 3.78 times 10 raised to 2. So its logarithm becomes 2 point, so that is the power 2 point. We look for the logarithm of 3.7 in the column of 8. We're going to look for the logarithm of 3.7 in the column of 8. So 3.7 in the column of 8 from the mathematical table, it reads 5775. It reads 5775. Now, because we are finding the square root, the root, it is raised to a half, so it is order 2. Square root is order 2. Then it means that this number you multiply with a half, or in this case, you just divide with the 2. So multiplication by a half is the same as division with the 2. So 2 goes here, 1 point. 2 into 5, it is 2. Carry 1. 2 into 17, it is 8. Carry 1. 2 into 17 again, it is 8. Carry 1. 2 into 15, it is 7. Carry 1. 2 into 10 now becomes 5. Now, this number can be expressed as 1.2888. The mathematical table is to 4 decimal places. So this 5 increases the 7 before it to become 8. So it means that it's going to be times 10 raised to our characteristic, which is 1. Then you look for the antilog of 28 in the column of 8, then add what is in the column of 8. And you find it is 1.945. 1.945. Now 1.945 times 10 raised to 1. That means the decimal point moves ahead one step. It gives us 19.45. So this sum, its answer is 19.45. 19.45. We can move ahead and attempt to do one under a cube root. Cube root of 0.00072. So the number that you have is 0.123 So this one can be written in standard form as 7.2 times 10 raised to -4, because the decimal point moves 4 steps ahead. Now, the logarithm of this number is bar 4 point. So, bar 4 point, in this case, now look for the logarithm of 7.2. Logarithm of 7.2 gives us 8573. Now, it is the cube root, so you multiply by a third, or now just say divided by 3. Now, if we look at our characteristic, it is not divisible by 3, so we have to do some modifications. It is not divisible by 3, so we have to do some modifications on this. So multiples of 3 are by 3. Multiples of 3 are by 6. So the next high number or high multiple after by 3, after by 4 is by 6. So we ask ourselves, what can we add to by 6 to get by 4? And you find that on this one, you can add 2. You can add 2. So it becomes 2.8573. So this one now, you can divide it into 3. So for us to divide it into 3, 3 here is 1. 3 into by 6 gives us by 2. Then now, 3 into 2 is 0, carry 2 into 28, because of 27 it is 9. Then carry 1 into 15, it is 5, into there it is 2, because of 6, then 1 into 13, it gives us 4, because of 12. Then carry 1 into 10, it is 3, so it is 3, 3, 3 recurring. Now, in this particular scenario, we only add the characteristics, so it is bar 2 point, because bar 2 plus 0, it is bar 2 point, 9524. 9524. So we have just chosen the 4 decimal places because but 3 cannot have effect on 4. So in this particular case, we are going to standard form and write times 10 raised to our characteristic, which is bar 2. Then look for the antilog of 95 in the column of 2. Then add what is in the column of 4. And this one gives us 8.962. 8.962. Now, bar 2 means we move ahead, move back 2 steps. So this one gives us 0.08962. So the answer to this particular question becomes 0.08962. Now, go ahead and solve also another question that we have here. It entails multiplication, division, square, then it also has a cube root. So how do we approach this kind of question? Now we are going to start with the numerator. Start with what is inside, what is under the root. So we are going to start with the numerator. Now the numerator, you have 32.51. 32.51. The standard form of this is 3.251 times 10 raised to 1. So it means that the logarithm of this one is 1 point. We look for the logarithm of 3.2 in the column of 5, then add what is in the column of 1. And this one gives us 5120. We go ahead and look for the second number on the numerator, which is 0.24. Now 0.24 is the same as 2.40 times 10 raised to bar 1. So the logarithm is bar 1 point. 2.4 in the column of 0. 2.4 in the column of 0. This one gives us 3802. 3802. Now, because the numerator they are multiplying, so it means that these logarithms you add. You add them. Now, when you add this one, you get this one is 2, this one is 2, this one is 9, this one is 8, then bar 1 plus, 1 plus bar 1. 1 plus bar 1. It means 1 minus 1, which gives us 0. So in this case, our number is 0.8922. Now, we have finished the numerator. There is the denominator. The denominator, we have 0.622. In standard form, this one is the same as 6.22 times 10 raised to bar 1. So the logarithm is bar 1 point. Look for the logarithm of 6.2 in the column of 2. So from mathematical table, this one gives us 7938. 7938. But remember, the number is squared. So if it is squared, means you multiply by 2. You multiply by 2. So when you multiply by 1.7938 times 2, you are going to end up with bar 1.5876. 2 by 8 is 16, 6 carry 1. 2 by 3 is 6 plus 1, 7. 2 by 9 is 18, put 8, carry 1. 2 by 7 it is 14, plus the 1 is 15. 5 carry 1. 2 by bar 2 it is bar 2. Bar 2 plus 1 carried becomes bar 1. That's why we have bar 1.5876. Now, the numerator and the denominator are being divided. So what do we do next? It means that these two numbers we subtract. We are going to subtract those two numbers. So if you subtract the upper number, from it you subtract the lower number, in this particular case, we are going to end up 12. So you borrow here, you remain with the 8. Put here it is 12. 12 we borrow, remain with the 11. Put here it is 12. So 12 minus 6 gives us 6. 11 minus 4 gives us 4. Then 8 minus 8 gives us 0. 8 minus 5 gives us 3. 0 minus 1. That is 0 plus 1, which is 1. Now, this number that you see here, we are going to bring it here. 1.3046. This number here is what is inside under the root. But it is to which order? Order 3. So you multiply by a third or you divide with 3. If you divide with 3, this one is a positive number, so division takes place. 3 into 1, it is 0. Point, carry 1. Into 13, it is 4. Because of 12, it is 4 because of 12. Carry 1 into 10, it is 3 because of 9. Carry 1 into 14, it is 4 because of 12. Carry 2 into 26, it is 8 because of 24. Carry 2 into 20, it is 6 recurring. Now, it means for us to make it 4 decimal place, it means this one has an effect on this number. So it becomes 0.4349. Now, our characteristic is 0, so it is times 10 raised to the power of 0. Then look for the antilog of 43 in the column of 4, then add what's in the column of 9. You get it is 2.721. So 2.721 multiplied by 10 raised to the power of 0, that's like multiplied by 1, it remains to be 2.721. So this one is the answer to this particular question that you have. Okay, we have sums here that you can copy and attempt to do them. You can just pause the video, copy the below sums, then use the mathematical tables to evaluate them. Thank you for staying tuned. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel